UMG transform modes. I have been using UMG since probably like as soon as it came out, and I just discovered this. There's two different transform modes. Now obviously if you've used UMG for a while, you know you've got the visual representation of it in the actual location relative to the anchors. Now what you may not know is that pressing W puts you in layout mode, which is relative to the anchors, or pressing E puts you in the render mode. Now if you're moving it around like this, you're like, oh well, this is normal movement, right? Wrong. You actually are moving the widget transform in the render transform mode. And this is great for doing animations where you want to have a more complicated look. So if we create a new animation and we'll reset the translation, I'll just key in the transform. Now if we move out a few frames and click auto key, now while in render transform mode, we could put this here, drag it out a little bit more, put this here, drag it a little bit more, and reset the transform. And what we get is an animation of the render location, but not the pivot. So the actual location where the text block is existing is in the place that we predefined. We're just moving the visual representation, but everything else is locked into place, which is really, really useful for animations and whatnot. And I can't believe that I didn't know that this existed. It's important to make sure that you pay attention to which mode that you're in if you're switching back and forth, and because it could really mess up the layout of your widget if you are in layout mode, but you think you're in render mode. Because render mode always returns back to, whenever you reset the translation, will always return back to where it's supposed to be. Whereas there is no supposed to be with where it's anchored. This is a minor little feature, but it is very handy once you know it's there. Now, one cool thing with this is, if you notice, if we're in layout mode and we're to drag this out, it will leave the parent of the border it's in. Now this border I'm going to set to be always clip, right? And if we switch to render transform, you can see we can move it around inside of the actual border. So the uses for this are, there's a lot of different things you could do with this, and I recommend playing around with it, especially for animations. If you want to have you want to have a little bit of an angular movement to it, you can do that. And yeah, I think it's really cool. And if you get it outside of the bounds like this, you can't click on it. Just reset your transform and you're good to go. So that's W for layout and E for the render transform mode.